Sunday, October 24, 2020. World prophecy. I pray because I see an attack in Nation KYRGYZSTAN. I pray in Jesus' name.
Let's begin this bulletin now by getting you some updates about the ongoing unrest in Kyrgyzstan as the country's Prime Minister, Kubatbek Boronov, has now resigned and has been replaced by a nationalist politician who was released from prison by protesters, in fact, just the day before. Meanwhile, one person has been killed and more than 590 people have been injured in clashes which erupted in Kyrgyzstan following the results of the recently concluded parliamentary polls. Following these mass protests, the country's electoral body has said that it is cancelling the results of a parliamentary vote that plunged the Central Asian nation into political chaos. The Central Electoral Commission said in a statement that it has invalidated these election results, which saw parties close to pro-Russian President Surunbe Jeenbekov score big wins amid accusations of mass vote-buying campaigns. This comes after protesters launched allegations of vote rigging in these elections. The opposition groups in Kyrgyzstan said that they had seized power in the country after taking control of government buildings in the capital during the protests. Hundreds clashed with the police in Kyrgyzstan's capital city of Bishkek on Monday to demonstrate against these election results. Meanwhile, President Jeenbekov urged his opponents to stop these public protests, saying that he had ordered security forces not to use firearms on protesters. He also asked the Central Election Committee to investigate any violations during these polls and annul the election results if necessary.
Peace in the country and stability in society is more important than any politician's mandate. I suggested that the Central Election Committee thoroughly investigate any violations during the election process and annul the election results if necessary. I asked that the leaders of the political parties calm their voters and ask them not to take part in gatherings.
For more updates about the ongoing unrest in Kyrgyzstan, we are now being joined by Christopher Schwartz, a correspondent for OpenDemocracy.net. He joins us from Bishkek, where this unrest is currently taking place. Now, welcome, Christopher, and thanks for joining us on this broadcast. Now, we are getting reports that the Prime Minister has resigned over the recent unrest. Tell us a little bit about the situation on ground, the casualties, as well as the state of the governance in the country as of now.
The last information I saw about casualties is that so far there's only been one death, a 19-year-old boy, that occurred on Monday night. In terms of the state of governance in the country, it's very uncertain. Several government officials have resigned across the country, particularly the executive branch. And many of the opposition figures have self-declared themselves to be leaders. This includes here inside Bishkek, the capital, the mayor resigned, and a figure from the Respublika Party, which is one of the kind of liberal opposition parties, has declared himself mayor. But on what basis, no one can say. And something similar is happening with respect to the Prime Minister. Sadir Japarov has declared himself to be Prime Minister with a non-constitutional mandate. He does have some support from Parliament, only 26 deputies, but not the actual majority that he needs to really be a Prime Minister.
Right. Now, there are concerns now that Kyrgyzstan may become a Russian ally similar to Belarus and Armenia, which are witnessing similar clashes and unrest. So tell us a little bit about the ramifications of the same.
It's really hard to say what the ramifications are. At the moment, Russia has been taking a back seat and just observing and waiting to see what happens. This is a genuinely internal matter driven by genuinely domestic problems. And frankly speaking, the Russians are already maxed out in terms of dealing with the problems in Belarus, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, and even in their own country. So it's unknown yet how this will play out. But I have to say, whatever government takes power will be heavily incentivized to still be, generally speaking, pro-Russian.
Right, right. Now, just a final question here. What is the exact state of governance in Kyrgyzstan? Tell us a little bit about this nationalist politician who has replaced the Prime Minister.
What to say about him. So he is originally from the mountain lake area here at Issyk. He is actually a figure from the Bakiev era. This was the second president who was quite authoritarian and was the one forced out in a far more bloody revolution in 2010. Japarov was in jail from 2017 on charges of corruption. He was an anti-corruption official during the Bakiev era, but himself was accused of many, many different scandals of abuse of power, corruption himself. and frankly speaking, he's a very shadowy figure, and many people are concerned by him being interim prime minister.
Right. All right, Christopher, thank you so much for all your inputs on this story, and thank you for joining us on this broadcast.